Hey everybody, what is going on? David here, Butler Outdoors. Haven't been down to the property in, it's been about 3 weeks. Just been super busy at work and family stuff going on, but I was able to make it down today. So I'm going to give you guys some food plot updates and go over some potential stand and blind locations. Do a couple other things while I'm down here. I'm going to swap cards on all the trail cameras. So I'll put up any pictures of bucks that I may have. Been getting a few on my cell cameras, but I've got quite a few non-cellular cameras I'll check as well, and I'll keep you guys posted on that. But I'm standing in my no-till soybean food plot. You guys have probably seen the video on it. I planted it May 22nd, I believe. And today is August 1st. So keep in mind, it was a no-till. I've done nothing for fertilizer, no lime. I have come in and sprayed, I believe, twice with glyphosate. There's been some, I've had mare's tail, some grasses, a little bit of sedge, and some smart weed that comes up in this plot, and I'm trying to get it, pretty well taken care of and under control. But by the looks of things, I don't think I'm going to have to spray at all from here on out. The beans are looking phenomenal. If you can see, they are up to my belly. So they're probably at least 40 inches tall. Some of them are up above my ribs. So, and the entire plot's like that. Everything looks absolutely amazing. They're good and tall, shading out any potential weeds that are coming in. The Huey Man fence I've got up is doing a great job. I will go over one little trick, tip, or technique, if you want to call it that, for any of you guys that are going to be using an electric fence like this. You need to keep the perimeter clear. If you have any vegetation, any plants, soybeans of any type that are growing up and touching the electric part of the fence, it'll short that fence out and pretty much make it ineffective. So, and I've got that. I knew I was gonna when I came down here, just because it'd been 3 weeks with very, very good growing conditions. So I've got my weed whacker with me. I'll get the perimeter trimmed down, cleaned up, and when that does happen, the deer will get in a little bit. And walking around my plot, I noticed over there on the east end, there was just a couple of spots where I was getting some browse inside the fence. Nothing that's going to hurt anything. Like I said, these beans are 40 plus inches tall. They can handle browse, especially just a little bit like that with no issue. So anyway, that's the plan for the day. Hopefully got some good information for you guys. Check out my website. I'll put the description, or the link down in the description, I should say. Check out my Facebook page. I'll post this video or a link to it on my Facebook page as well. So stay tuned. Lots of good information heading your way. All right, later. All right, guys. So everything with the white flowers, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, that is buckwheat. Buckwheat is kind of the hot ticket item, I guess you could say. It's the fad, if you will, for no-till food plots, and for good reason. It's very easy to grow, very easy to germinate. As you can see, it gets quite a bit of foliage on it. but one of the biggest attributes it has is the stalk is, I guess I would describe it kind of like almost like a weak celery stalk. It's very easy to snap. So with that aspect, it makes it very good for no-till applications because you don't really have to use herbicide. You can come in here with a roller, ATV tires, any number of things, and you know, that stalk will just snap right off and it'll lay over, and that will terminate the plant, and you will get the mulch effect for weed suppression and cover of your seed. So that's the buckwheat. As you can see, there's a lot of soybeans. Getting some pretty decent height on some of them, but they are getting browsed. There's quite a bit there, some more there. Over on this side, the soybeans they're all mixed in, hiding in the buckwheat. We've got, like this soybean plant, it's almost a single stalk simply because of the browse pressure, but being hidden down in here, down in this buckwheat, we're getting the winter peas that's in the mix. And as you can see, the buckwheat here, I don't know if you can tell, I'll try and get it to focus. There, you can see that pea has wrapped itself around that buckwheat and is using it to pull itself up. That pea stalk is, my goodness, it's probably 3 foot long, but it's curled up and attaching itself to that buckwheat, which is part of the reason why it's in here. This looks like more buckwheat. There are sunflowers in here. Trying to find a few. A lot of what we're seeing is buckwheat and soybeans. And even some of the buckwheat's been browsed on pretty good. But yeah, this was, yeah, you can see back here how much browse pressure even the buckwheat's gotten. You know, it's all been nipped off back in here. There's a few little weeds, but nothing too bad. We even have some more peas coming in here. So overall, I mean, with the amount of effort that I put in to this plot this year, which is next to nothing, it is turned out pretty good. You know, over in here, it's just the back half of this plot is always getting a lot of browse pressure, and I'll show you guys why. A lot of this stuff didn't even hardly get a chance to germinate. But back in there, I don't know if you can see the reeds, I guess is what you would call it. It's kind of a swamp or a slough, and all the deer like to funnel up through there into this plot. So the majority of the traffic comes from that direction. And obviously where they first enter the plot, you're going to get the majority of the browse. So that's why a lot of this back here has been browsed off. The soybeans are looking pretty rough. But this is August 1st. So I will come in here probably about September 1. It just kind of depends on where we're at and what the forecast looks like for rain. But I will probably come in here and do a either no-till or a minimal till. And I'll probably do real-world wildlife. No, not their harvest out. I'll do their Deadly Dozen. It's got pretty much everything in there. So it's got small grains, peas, a bunch of different brassica types and everything in there. So that'll handle some decent browse pressure and give the deer some late season food source back in here. But yeah, for you guys, I'll demonstrate kind of what I meant with the buckwheat here. And you know, it's fine. You know, these folks that want to advertise buckwheat, you know, oh yeah, it's the best no-till cover crop and blah 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 blah, and you know, that's fine. I don't disagree with it. I mean, it's a good choice, but as you can see, with the majority of the vegetation down here, the majority that has not been browsed on is buckwheat. So, and don't get me wrong, everybody's mileage will vary on where you're located and what your deer herd prefers, because that does change depending on where you're at and what the deer are used to. But it's obvious in this location, buckwheat is not the preferred food source in this food plot. Otherwise, there'd be a lot more browse pressure, a lot more evidence of browse, you know, which almost every single soybean plant we saw was browsed on, which I'm not surprised. I mean, that's pretty common with soybeans, but the buckwheat isn't doing anything as far as providing nutrition for the deer. You know, they may have browsed on it a little bit, but essentially what it's doing is it's acting as a cover crop or a partner crop to kind of support the other seeds in this blend. And that's fine. But I don't really want to plant something that the deer aren't going to eat and that's not going to be a nutritional food source for them. To me, that's just wasting money and time. So, you know, for you guys that like to use buckwheat and are successful with it, that's great. You know, it's not for me. I prefer rye, winter wheat, other small grains, even winter barley. Those I can plant in a fall mix, and they will provide a nutritious, attractive food source throughout the fall, winter, and going into the spring. And then as they start to mature during the spring, obviously they lose palatability and attractiveness. But by that time, you've got spring green ups already there. The deer have a plethora of food sources available. So to me, that makes a better option. You know, it may not be as effective when you're doing a no-till application, but you are actually getting a nutritional food source for your money and your effort with planting it. You know, but that's just my opinion. You know, you guys that like buckwheat and are successful with it, hey, that's fantastic. Continue on. You know, don't listen to anything I have to say. I'm just speaking from my own experience and my own opinion here. So, but that's this food plot, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Can't forget the ladies. They are a growing number of hunters and outdoors people. So if you have any ladies in your family, friends, or acquaintances, encourage them to get outdoors as well. I know my wife, she had never done any type of hunting or anything until she met me, and she's actually killed some bigger deer than I have. You know, a lot of guys would get jealous about that. I just say it's simply because she had a really good teacher. All right. Well, I got some work to do, but that's the plan for this spot. I'll probably, I'd like to come in here and get these logs cleaned up. That may or may not happen, but either way, I'll come in and do a fall plot. Get that deadly dozen down here. But yeah, I mean, even over here, guys, you know, like I was saying with the buckwheat, I mean, there's a few beans, and I mean, this buckwheat got browsed on. I don't see a whole lot else, but all the beans are browsed on. So, I mean, take it with a grain of salt, I guess. You know, it's I mean, deer will eat anything, so it's not that they won't eat buckwheat, but it's obviously not the main attractor in this seed mix. And I've never really seen deer go after buckwheat in properties I've managed or hunted, so to me it's kind of a waste. But, you know, like I said, it is what it is. All right, moving on. We'll catch you guys later.